I didn't think Reacher could break my heart again after Russo's death in Season 2, but I stand corrected. Reacher broke my heart in Season 2 by featuring Russo's demise, but surprisingly, the show features an even more tragic scene in Season 3's final arc. In its opening season, Reacher seemingly played it safe by not featuring any major character deaths. The only heroic character who dies in Season 1 is Jack Reacher's brother, Joe, whose fate is revealed through a brief flashback. However, after the first season, the Amazon Prime Video detective series does not hold back from killing off a major character. After establishing Russo as one of the secondary heroes, Reacher Season 2 walks through his final moments by highlighting how he puts his life on the line to save an innocent woman and her daughter from the villains. Russo's death proves to be immensely heartbreaking because he gradually grows on the viewer as a character, and the show even establishes how much he cares about serving the greater good instead of becoming a corrupt police detective. Surprisingly, however, as tragic as Russo's death may seem, Reacher Season 3 delivers an even more gut-wrenching moment. Beck's death hits almost as hard as Russo's from Reacher Season 2. After establishing Russo as one of the secondary heroes, Reacher Season 2 walks through his final moments by highlighting how he puts his life on the line to save an innocent woman and her daughter from the villains. Russo's death proves to be immensely heartbreaking because he gradually grows on the viewer as a character, and the show even establishes how much he cares about serving the greater good instead of becoming a corrupt police detective. Surprisingly, however, as tragic as Russo's death may seem, Reacher Season 3 delivers an even more gut-wrenching moment. Beck's death hits almost as hard as Russo's from Reacher Season 2. In many ways, Russo and Beck's stories in Reacher are similar. Both characters are initially assumed to be villains, but the show eventually reveals how they are only being misunderstood because of their circumstances. As Reacher Season 2's second half reveals, Russo had always been a morally righteous police officer but was clueless about how his senior officer from the police department was taking bribes from the overarching antagonists. Towards the season's end, Russo even proved his loyalty and integrity by putting himself in harm's way to protect innocent civilians. Unlike Russo, Zachary Beck was initially portrayed as a typical villain embroiled in an illegal gun-running business. However, as the season eventually revealed, Beck, too, was revealed to be a victim of his circumstances because Quinn was manipulating him into working under him by threatening to harm his son. While Beck cannot be considered as morally sound as Russo, the show does a good job at redeeming him towards the end of Season 3 by showing how he is willing to join forces with Reacher to ensure his son's safety. When Reacher Season 2 ended with the brutal and tragic death of Detective Guy Russo, I didn't think the show could ever wound me that deeply again. Russo had become an unexpected, emotional anchor in a season that was otherwise filled with high-stakes action, conspiracies, and bone-breaking justice. His murder wasn't just shocking, it was gutting. He wasn't a soldier like Reacher's 110th or a villain to be dispatched. Russo was a good cop trying to do the right thing, and he paid the ultimate price. I carried that grief into Season 3, fully armored and expecting nothing but classic Reacher retribution and procedural muscle. But as always, the show had other plans. And it broke my heart all over again, this time in a way I never saw coming. Enter Xavier Quinn and the emotional ambush. Season 3 introduced Xavier Quinn as the new antagonist, and while he was magnetic and menacing in his own right, I didn't anticipate how emotionally complicated his character would become. Unlike the villains of previous seasons who were defined by greed, cruelty, or corruption, Quinn was a ghost from Reacher's past, a mirror reflecting everything Jack could have become if he had taken one wrong step. But more than that, Quinn's connection to Reacher wasn't built on hatred, it was built on respect. Twisted, bitter, and fractured respect, but still. Something that hinted at what could have been a brotherhood. Watching Reacher confront that dynamic was unexpectedly painful. He didn't want to kill Quinn, not really. He had to. And when he finally did, it didn't feel like victory. It felt like a funeral for part of himself. The heartbreak of Dixon's absence. But Quinn wasn't the only emotional landmine in Season 3. What truly caught me off guard was the unspoken shadow that loomed over every episode. Francis Neagley and Carla Dixon were gone. Russo's death had left a vacuum, but now the family Reacher had finally started to build was disbanded. Neely was mentioned, sure, and her absence was clearly felt. But it was Dixon, Reacher's partner in the field and in the heart, whose silence screamed the loudest. The show never gave us a neat resolution to their relationship. Season 2 ended with a promise, a subtle spark between them, and now Season 3 offered only silence in return. That open wound was never stitched shut. Reacher never talked about her. He didn't need to. His quiet glances, his solitary moments at roadside diners, his restless pacing, they all said what he couldn't. He misses her. The heartbreak here wasn't explosive. It was slow, creeping, a weight Reacher carried with every punch he threw. He didn't just lose a colleague. He lost the first person since his military days who made him think about staying in one place, even if just for a little while. The rookie who didn't deserve it. And then came the gut punch I truly wasn't ready for, the death of rookie Agent Lane. Introduced in the middle of the season, Lane was green but determined, enthusiastic but grounded. She reminded me of a younger Neely or even a pre-war Reacher, sharp, full of potential, and driven by an unwavering sense of justice. She idolized Reacher, though she'd never say it outright. And maybe that's what made her fate so hard to swallow. In episode 6, Lane was gunned down in a completely senseless ambush, an event that wasn't just another tally on the show's body count. It was a moment that reminded viewers that even in a world where Reacher usually wins, justice comes with a price. Her death wasn't heroic. She wasn't saving anyone. She was just doing her job, and it got her killed. Watching Reacher kneel beside her broken body, jaw clenched and fists trembling, was a return to that Russo-level devastation. It shattered the illusion of control that Reacher usually holds. He couldn't save Lane. Just like he couldn't save Russo. Just like he couldn't save Quinn from becoming what he did. And in those moments, the tough-as-nails Titan felt human again. More than fists and fury, what makes Reacher special isn't just the action choreography or the clever mysteries. It's that underneath the brutal takedowns and cold interrogations, there's a man who feels everything. He may not say it. He may not show it. But when people he cares about fall, it's written in every movement, every silence, every flash of anger behind his steely blue eyes. Reacher doesn't cry. But the audience does, because we know what it costs him to keep going. That's what makes Season 3 so effective. It doesn't rely on cheap sentimentality. It earns every emotional beat. And it trusts us to see through Reacher's stonewall exterior and recognize the grief roiling beneath. A new wound, an old scar. By the season's end, Reacher has avenged Lane. He's ended Quinn's threat. He's solved the case. On paper, he's done his job. But emotionally, he's more fractured than ever. Russo's death taught him how fragile life outside the military really is. Lane's death reminded him that no matter how good his intentions, people still die around him. And Dixon's absence is a constant whisper in the wind, asking the question he won't answer, is there room in his life for love? So yes, I thought I was safe. I thought I had built up enough emotional calluses to make it through Reacher Season 3 unscathed. But I stand corrected.